There's good ways to do it and there's bad ways to do it. The biggest risk of being friendly is if you end up like attracting the terrible people, right? Like the thing with the crypto space is that it's very high variance. And the problem is that if you get a certain kind of reputation, it's like very easy to accidentally attract all of the Duke ones.
In 2013, 19-year-old Vitalik Buterin published a white paper on a new blockchain system he called Ethereum. He and several others developed it, and the network went live 2 years later. Ethereum is an open-source, community-run platform that powers thousands of decentralized applications. Its digital currency Ether is the second largest in the world after Bitcoin. Mr. Buterin is now a director at the Ethereum Foundation. This is a non-profit body dedicated to supporting the technology. I'm Sumiko Tan, executive editor of the Straits Times. I'm meeting Mr. Buterin at Sao Paulo in Great Wall City. He tells me how there are good ways and bad ways to deal with the brave new world of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. What do you think of the Singapore's approach to crypto and blockchain, the MAS approach?
I definitely appreciate the amount of effort that they've been putting into it and just like their willingness to explore many different kinds of applications and be supportive. Interesting, their willingness to trying to like make a distinction between blockchain usage and cryptocurrency is like one of those weird things, right? Because it's like on the one hand, it's sort of the mindset that every regulator has, want to be supportive of technology and making things easier for people, but like, you know, you find cryptocurrency weird and scary. But on the other hand, cryptocurrency do have this tight connection with each other. You can't really have one without the other, right? Like I think some of the regulators in China definitely sort of tried to have one without the other, and like the reality is, you know, if you don't have cryptocurrency, then like the blockchains that you're going to have are just fake and nobody's going to care about them. But I guess the line that they're trying to take is they're trying to like discourage cryptocurrency speculation, but they're not actually banning it. And like, you know, people here who want to like, you know, buy, sell and have cryptocurrency still can if they want to. There's even like banks that support cryptocurrency custodial services. Possibly a good, I think it could be a good balance.
Do you track the price of Ethereum like really closely?
Sometimes, but not always.
Have you ever speculated at all in any crypto?
Not really. I just buy and hold things.
But some of the like smaller countries are into cryptocurrencies.
They are, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, some have gotten like much further, right? Like there's a couple of small ones that have like e-residencies that are on the blockchain. Definitely a lot of like small countries where the government is very involved.
What are your views on that? Is it like safe for them?
It depends on how they do it. Like I think there's good ways to do it and there's bad ways to do it. Like I think that the biggest risk of being friendly is if you end up like attracting the terrible people, right? Like the thing with the crypto space is that it's very high variance, right? Like you have these just really amazing and genuine people like, you know, Zuko, for example, and then you also have like Duke One. And the problem is that if you get a certain kind of reputation, it's like very easy to accidentally attract all of the Duke ones. I mean, in Singapore, it's definitely true to some extent that the crypto space has not been standing its best, right? Like there's like Duke One actually himself spent some time here, and then some of the people who were involved in the Luna collapse. And part of that was like China stuff, right? Because like would be as a result of the Chinese regulation. But then part of that is like if you're friendly, then you know, people who can't get anywhere else will come. I appreciate the tough balance and kind of the position that Singapore and the MAS are in there, and that's like. It's definitely true that like if a country is not smart about it, then you know they can easily end up just like being stuck as being you know, the base for all of the like Duke One people, and that's not necessarily something that a country would want. But on the other hand, like I think it's definitely possible to engage productively and like, get a lot of benefits.
Do you see any danger of Ethereum being used for not so good purposes? And what can you do about that?
Yeah, I think like. A couple of those things have happened, right? Like there have been like DeFi hacks and those kinds of things. The thing that we can do just as a community, and that I think we've done fairly well at, but we can do better, is just like not have a community that's supportive of that kind of behavior. this is like one of my criticisms of the Bitcoin community, for example, right? Is like they just automatically love everyone rich and powerful who supports Bitcoin, right? So if you remember the El Salvador situation last year, right? The president of El Salvador announced at a conference in Miami that there would be this Bitcoin law that would require people in El Salvador to use Bitcoin. And a lot of Bitcoin people just kind of ignored the fact that El Salvador was like, or at least Bukele's government was this like very not democratic government that actually has a lot of problems and is like actually not that good at respecting people's freedom, and they just kind of let themselves ignore that because look, a country is adopting Bitcoin, and a lot of them went up on stage with him and kind of helped promote El Salvador, but then what happened is like his entire thing was based on Bitcoin continuing to go up, and then Bitcoin ended up going down, and now it just looks terrible, and not many people are using it. Basically, just because the way the Bitcoin adoption was done was like very top-down and forced, it just ended up not being very sustainable. Like that's an example of like the kind of mistake that a cryptocurrency community could do to like enable bad behavior. But I think like in that particular case, the Ethereum community did dodge the bullet, right? And like, there's a reason why Luna was not built on Ethereum. I think the most that we can do as a community is just kind of be active in supporting good things and opposing bad things. And then aside for that, it's like, like what else can we do? Like there's things that regulators can do. There's things that we as a community can do to educate users. It is something that like everyone will have to kind of like play some part of. There's a limit to like how much bad activity you can prevent, but because it is an open system and like the nature of the system means that it has to be open. But there are lots of things that we can do, and there's a lot that we are doing, and probably more that we could be doing.
So you do call out things on Twitter, for instance?
Yeah, I do.
Right.
And,
how does it feel to be like so lauded?
so what?
Lauded.
Oh, weird.
You haven't got used to it.
I guess somewhat used to it, but
Do you think there are things people misunderstand about you?
I'm sure.
Or I mean, from what you've read, does anything like really bug you?
Good question. I feel like I don't know. I feel like everyone kind of like projects parts of themselves onto me, and it's weird. Like sometimes I see a description of myself and I just like totally can't relate to it. Like sometimes when people on Twitter make these memes of like myself with the really big muscles and like, and like I don't know. Actually, like I'm not that kind of person at all.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah.
They had a funding, right? Yeah. Did you laugh or were you angry?
I think I laugh.
If there's any city that you feel is home, which city would that be?
I feel like maybe Singapore more than anywhere else now, actually. I feel like in the last 5 years, it might be the place or the city I've spent the most time somehow.
Okay, thanks very much for having
thank you
lunch.
在做事方面呢，我们的一个责任也是一定要在那边这样，我们要很积极进步这样，然后又要很主动了我觉得这些都是点点滴滴加起来的这些这样的一些元素吧。